From their humble origins in the farms of Bavaria to the downright scary amount of influence they now have over the entire world, here is the story of how Goldman Sachs became the one Jewish family that owns America. Now, the tale of how Goldman Sachs came to own the U.S. ironically starts in Bavaria. In the charming villages of this country, all the way back in the 19th century, the roots of what had eventually become one of the most powerful families in the history of the world were laid. You see, this is where Marcus Goldman, an Ashkenazi Jew, was born. Now, he didn't come from money. In fact, this is about as much of a rags to riches story as you can imagine. His father was a farmer and a cattle dealer, but of course, Marcus had other plans. He dared to dream beyond the European winds of change during the revolutions of 1848. Crossing the Atlantic, he embarked on a journey to the land of opportunity, America. When he reached the U.S., Marcus transformed into his Americanized version and started as a peddler, navigating the vibrant streets with a horse-drawn cart. Despite the humble start, he was totally focused on carving out his path, and that's exactly what he did. In 1869, alongside a friend, Marcus Goldman set his sights on New York City, establishing Marcus Goldman and Company on Pine Street in Lower Manhattan. Specializing in IOUs, he was already showing folks that he was built for this kind of life, handling transactions worth millions annually. The pivotal moment came in 1882 when Marcus invited his son-in-law, Samuel Sachs, to join. Soon enough, this family was amassing riches and setting the stage for something that's nothing short of a dynasty. Even after Marcus retired, the firm remained strong. That's because he entrusted the firm to his son, Henry Goldman, and son-in-law, Samuel Sachs. And let's just say that the two were definitely cut out for this line of work. Over the next 30 years, under Henry's great leadership and forward-thinking strategies, Goldman Sachs underwent a massive transformation, transforming into a preeminent financial institution. Henry was kind of a genius when it came to calculating risks, and that's what helped the firm leap into completely uncharted territories, making millions of dollars in the process. And that's not all. He was able to pioneer the concept of utilizing a company's earnings potential to attract long-term equity investments and spearhead successful public offerings for some iconic companies. I'm talking about the likes of Sears Roebuck and Company, Underwood Typewriter Company, and F.W. Woolworth. By now, this family was already cemented among the American financial elite. They had the money and the power to shape and influence the wider American financial landscape. And it's not just the U.S. that they've got control over, because in 1986, the firm took its operations global by joining the London and Tokyo stock exchanges. Throughout the 20th century, Goldman Sachs maintained its prominence in the financial world, playing key roles in mergers and acquisitions. It became a trailblazer in electronic investment research and distribution, and introduced innovative financial products, such as deep discount bonds. And part of why they've been such a massively consistent force is their ability to change with the times. I mean, no empire can last forever, but the ones that can adapt tend to last longer. Take, for example, how the Goldman Sachs firm weathered the storm of the dot-com bubble burst in the early 2000s. Notably, the firm played hugely important advisory roles for tech giants like Microsoft and Yahoo. Now, if you're walking with companies like that, you just know the industry considers you the go-to investment bank in the technology sector. Plus, what better way to own America than to have your influence over the place that produces all its innovation? Yep, I'm talking about Silicon Valley. The firm has made strategic investments in the area, but they've got sizable properties and real estate in other parts of the country, such as the Rockefeller Center. And they didn't think to stop there. In the mid-2010s, Goldman Sachs diversified further. They entered consumer finance with the launch of GS Bank and Marcus by Goldman Sachs. This shift addressed the financial needs of everyday consumers, offering personal loans and savings accounts. The family that started its origins on the humble farms of Bavaria is now very much in the control of American finances, both massive companies and the everyday layman. And wait till you hear this. Goldman Sachs serves as the primary dealer in the U.S. Treasury securities market. The firm manages the nation's debt, providing clearing and custodian services, and ensuring secure and efficient transactions. Plus, as market makers, they enhance liquidity in various markets, from equities to currencies. But as it turns out, they give back quite a lot too. I mean, when you own just about the entire country, it makes sense to help out the people that live there, right? The Goldman Sachs family's commitment to philanthropy is pretty interesting, especially all the stuff they've done for education. Over the years, they've made generous contributions to educational institutions. Thousands upon thousands of dollars have gone straight from their banks to scholarships, research programs, and infrastructure development. And their philanthropy doesn't end there. The family's been quite busy in the realm of healthcare too. Their considerable contributions to medical research and the establishment of healthcare facilities have saved a ton of lives. The family believes in funding cutting-edge research, which I'm sure has led to the treatment of diseases and medical conditions. Now, you could argue that all this charity work is just a way for them to not have people asking too many questions. After all, the amount of money the family owns is downright impossible to even imagine, something within the ballpark of multiple hundred billions. So by giving the tiniest portion of it away, they get the ability to shield themselves from criticism. That said, it's still better than nothing. And hey, if it leads to people actually discovering new things and getting an education, then I suppose there's not much to complain about. Because even beyond education and healthcare, the family has focused on the promotion of other things that benefit society too. Take, for example, arts and culture. Let's just say someone in the family is a huge fan of art. Because they've provided a ton of support to museums, theaters, and cultural institutions, a lot of American heritage and culture have been preserved through their work, which, interestingly, does fall in line with the whole American dream idea. You know, how is anyone able to come to the U.S. and live out their best lives in this land of opportunity? For most people, that might not be true. But as it turns out, Goldman Sachs is one family that's certainly living the dream. But of course, no amount of money can save you if the planet itself becomes inhabitable. And that's why the firm dedicates a lot of money to addressing societal and environmental challenges. In the past, they've shown active support for initiatives related to poverty, environmental conservation, and social justice. So they're definitely making some positive changes, at least. The family clearly has a proactive approach to how they want to handle these donations. They actively engage with the organizations they support and participate in causes they deeply believe in. That said, even with their charitable efforts, the amount of control that this one single family has over an entire country definitely rubs some people the wrong way. After all, folks can't help but wonder if one firm or family should have this much say. With the U.S. being a superpower and all, the family that owns America pretty much owns the entire world. And there's no saying what kind of deals the family must make to stay in power and influence those around them. Some people argue that there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. And well, when your family has hundreds of billions, I think it's fair to say that ethics kind of have to go out the window. In the past, their firm has been involved in a number of controversies, like taking kickback bribes from institutional clients. They've also been called out for their potential role in the famous IMDb scandal from 2009. If you look into the firm's history, there are a ton of controversies like this that'll crop up. So you can only imagine the kinds of things that got swept under the rug and never saw the light of day. It goes to show that the American dream really does come at a cost. And sometimes you have to throw just about everything away to own an entire country. So from the downright scary amount of influence they now have over the entire world to their humble origins in the farms of Bavaria, that was the story of how Goldman Sachs became the one Jewish family that owns America.